Shubha Madhyanam. Welcome back, everybody. I welcome you all to the fifth session of Shalya Tantra Tatvidya Sambhasha. We are dealing with the Bhagna sessions. Before we start the topic, we would like to start with a small prayer. Om Namami Dhanvantarim Adidevam Surasurairvandita Padapadmam Loke Jararugbhayamrutyunasham Dataramishan Vividaushadhina Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hello again. First of all, sorry that we could not meet the last week, both the classes of the last week. So the sessions will continue on the same scheduled time, that is Monday and Wednesday between 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Now, as we saw in the last class, we were dealing with the Bhagna. So in the Bhagna, in the first four sessions, we have come up to the various classifications in the modern side, and that is with respect to the modern osteology. And even in the classical aspect, in the last class, we had seen the different kinds of types of Sandhimukta Lakshanas, how we can correlate it to which pathoanatomy exactly of dislocation or subluxation. We then saw how do we actually relate the nidanas, not just in with the typical translation of their meanings, but how we can actually analyze the inner meanings of each of those nidana with respect to the current situation. So all of that we had dealt in the last class. So today we will be seeing the 12 types of Kanda Bhagna. So last class we had seen a mnemonic to how to memorize or how to keep in mind all the 12 Kanda Bhagnas. So we will just take a quick recap of the 12 Kanda Bhagnas and we will name them. And in today's class, we will further move on to the types of Kanda Bhagna and how we can relate Kanda Bhagna to the other types or pathoanatomy of the fractures proper. So starting on, to start with the mnemonic, so today we'll deal with Kanda Bhagna, and we know that Kanda Bhagna are of 12 types. Now, what is the mnemonic that we had seen to remember these Kanda Bhagna was? Okay, I'll write it in English so that I need not repeat it again for others who do not understand Kannada. Karkashva, Chupi, Astika, Majjati, Vakra, Chi, Ha, Spu. So this is the mnemonic what we had seen so that we can remember all the 12 Kanda Bhagna. So it goes like Karkashva Chupi Astika Majjati Vakra Chipa Spu. So now I will name them accordingly. What does Kar stand for? Karkataka. Okay. Next is Ashwakarna. So we can actually write it like this. Next we have the Ashwakarna. Next we have Churnita. Next we have Pichita. Then we have Astichalita. Then we have Majjanugata. We have Atipatita. Then we have Vakra, Chinna, Patita, and Sputita. So are we correct? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We are missing on one. Karkataka, Ashwakarna, Churnita, Pichita, Astichalita, Karka, Ashwachopi, Astika, Kanda Bhagna, Astika. So we have missed with this. So after Astichalita comes Kanda Bhagna. and then we have Majjanugata. So throughout the class, if all of you are, if you have Sushruta Samhita along with you, then the lecture will become easy along with that, because I'll be reading through the shlokas from the Samhitas for the rest of the few classes. So here, what are the 12 types of Kandabhagna? So we have Karkataka, Ashwakarna, Churnita, Pichita, Asti Challita, Kandabhagna, Majjanugata, Atipatita, Vakra, Chinna, Patita, Sputita. So we have all the 12 varieties. So this is very important, because unless you know the names of Kandabhagna, it is very difficult to go and understand into the meaning, or even to again understand, and also for the examination purpose. So this forms the basics for the Kandabhagna topic. Now we will be dealing with the individual Kandabhagna and Lakshanas, and we will see the rationale behind why actually they were called so by Acharya Sushruta. Now, before we deal with the Vishesha Kandabhagna Lakshanas, we have something to be seen as the Samanya Kandabhagna Lakshanas, like how we saw for Samanya Sandhi Mukta Lakshana. So what does Samanya Kandabhagna Lakshana says? It says Shvayatu Bahulyam, Shvayatu Bahulyam, Spandana Vivartana Sparsha Asahishnutvam. Spandana Vivartana Sparsha Asahishnutvam. Then we have Avapidyamane Shabdaha, Avapidyamane Shabdaha, Srastangata Vividha Vedana Pradurbhavaha, Srastangata Vividha Vedana Pradurbhavaha. Next, Sarvasu Avastasu Na Sharmalavaha iti samasena Kandabhagna Lakshanam Uktam. Iti samasena Kandabhagna Lakshanam Uktam. So this is the Samanya Kandabhagna Lakshana. So what it says, Shvayatu Bahulyam, Spandana Vivartana Sparsha Asahishnutvam, Avapidyamane Shabdaha, Srastangata Vividha Vedana Pradurbhavaha, Sarvasu Avastasu Na Sharmalavaha iti samasena Kandabhagna Lakshanam Uktam. So this shloka, as we know, it incorporates all the basic signs and symptoms that we come across in a fractured patient. So what it is? Shvayatu Bahulyam. So there is excess of swelling. That is because of the hematoma formation. So immediately after a fracture, there is a formation of hematoma because of the fractured vascularities there, and because of which there is Shvayatu Bahulyata. Next is Spandana Vivartana Sparsha Asahishnutvam. So we know that there is immense pain. So from the patient's point of view, he is in a lot of pain. When you want to examine, there is a lot of tenderness. Patient will not let you touch the part wherever there is fracture. So even on tenderness, we have various gradings, right? So that depends on the severity of fracture. So that is what we see here also. So Spandana Vivartana Sparsha Asahishnutvam. So even in certain cases, when you want to move or you want to elicit the range of movements, or try to move that part of the limb, and otherwise in certain cases, even when even the sparsha is asahishnuta. So this shows the degree of tenderness wherein there is Spandana Vivartana Sparsha Asahishnutvam. Sparsha Asahishnutvam, we can take it to hyperesthesia, the condition of hyperesthesia, wherein the patient does not even the feel of tactile sensation will make the patient end up with a lot of pain. Next is Avapidyamane Shabdaha. So what is this? This is one of the pariksha. So among the Shabda Pariksha elicited in Sushruta Samhita, Bhagna is one such place, wherein in the Samanya Kandabhagna Lakshanas, and as we move further, we also see it in the Churnita Kandabhagna Lakshana in the Tika where Shabda Pariksha comes into picture. So there are very minimal places where in the Sushruta Samhita where usually in the Lakshanas where the Shabda Pariksha is being elicited. So here it is one such direct example, Avapedyamani Shabdaha, which shows that is the crepitus, which is the main sign of any fractured part. Next is Srastangata Vividha Vedana Pradurbhava. So Srastangata is where the whichever is the part that is injured, it loses its integrity. That is, it is not able to do the functions what it is supposed to do, and so the anga is Srasta there. Next is Vividha Vedana Pradurbhavaha. So there are different kinds of pain. So as we know, in the Vataja Lakshana, wherein we, because of Vata dosha, various types of pains are being seen. In the same way, in the fractured part of the body, so there is injury to many of the tissues there, and based on the severity, so various kinds of pain will be experienced by the patient. So again in the Kandabhagna Lakshanas, exactly in one, I think in Vidarita, where there is Shuka Purnamiva, is the pain that is being sensed by the patient. That is, he always feels like as if he's being pricked inside by the Shuka. Okay, so next is Sarvasu Avastasu Na Sharma Labaha. So a patient who who has ended up in fracture, I don't think you give him whichever is the best seat or the best cushion possible, he'll not feel himself comfortable. So he's not comfortable even when he's sitting, sleeping, unless the fracture is reduced and the ends are approximated. So until then, the patient will be in severe pain, especially at the acute onset of the fracture. So that is Sarvasu Avastasu Na Sharma Labha. What is Sharma? Sharma means Sukha. So he does not find Sukha in any of the Avastas. Whatever you offer to him, he is not he does not feel comfortable for himself. So, iti samasena Kandabhagna Lakshanam Uktam. So, in the Samanya Sandhi Kandabhagna Lakshanas, we can see that all the signs and symptoms of the fracture has been cleanly and clearly incorporated into this shloka by Acharya Sushruta. Okay, now after we saw the Samanya Kandabhagna Lakshanas, we will now move into the Vishishta or the Vishesha Kandabhagna Lakshanas. That is, they are the 12 varieties of Kandabhagna, what we saw earlier. So the first one is Karkatakam. I will first read through the shloka and then we'll explain. So what does Karkatakam has to say is, Visheshatastu Sammudham Ubhayato Asti Madhye Bhagnam Grantiriva Unnatam Karkatakam. So it says Visheshatastu Sammudham. Visheshatastu Sammudham Ubhayato Asti Madhye Bhagnam Ubhayato Asti Madhye Bhagnam Grantiriva Unnatam Karkatakam. Grantiriva Unnatam Karkatakam. So what is that we can understand here is that he says Visheshatastu Sammudham. So very important word here to understand is they are the two. That there are two words actually, that is Sammudham, and Granthi. So what does Sammudham have to say? So there are two tikas here. So one says, according to one Acharya, according to Dalhana, he says that Sammudham iti, according to Acharya Dalhana, so it is Atishayena Sparsham Janiyad Ityarthaha. So this is according to Acharya Dalhana. What does Acharya Gayadasa have to say on this is that Ubhayato Pashvayoho Nipidanena Grantiriva Unnatam. On both of this actually, Ubhayato Pashvayoho Nipidanena Granthiriva Unnatam. So, from this, what could we take Karkataka as, so we have Visheshatastu Sammudam. Sammudam means iti atishayena sparsham gnaniyat ityartha. So it is again a clear indication of hyperesthesia, that is atishayena sparsham janiyat. So it is such a beautiful explanation of hyperesthesia. So see how clearly we are able to get references for all such kinds of pain that one observes during the fracture. Sammudam iti atishayena sparsham janiyat ityartha. So that is, it says that it is an exaggerated tactile response to whatever, maybe touch or whatever it is. There is an exaggerated tactile sensation that is perceived by the patient is sammudam, according to Acharya Dalhana. Now what does Acharya Gayadasa has to say? He says ubhayato parshvayoho nipidanena grantiriva unnatam. Now here again he says that there is ubhayato asti madhye bhagnam. So we can take it as a transverse fracture that is running through the entire diameter or the entire circumference of the bone, for example. So here what happens? So immediately after the fracture, there is hematoma formation. There is formation of hematoma, because of which the swelling is the primary factor. So might be one. So this is just an attempt to how in different ways we could understand this word granthi and why it is called as Karkataka. So among that, so what I have tried to understand is what I'm trying to put it on the board in the exact way. So suppose anybody else has got another implementation of the same concept. I would love to listen to it. Kindly put a message or a comment below. So here is. So sammudam ubhayato grantiriva unnatam. So because of the hematoma, so when you see a karkataka, that is the crab, the center portion is big. The main trunk of the crab is big, after which you have various limbs. So maybe it resembles like that. That is why Grantiriva Unnatam, that is why Karkatakam could be one such thing. Another thing is when we see the approximation of the claws of the Karkataka, it is almost, it runs like how a fracture happens in the body. That is on the bone. So if you look at that, then even that gives a similarity. So maybe they are referring to that. So ubhayato, so because of the fracture in the bone tissue. So maybe because of these two reasons, it is named as Karkataka. So that, and it clearly says that asti madhye bhagnam. So it could be they are referring to, fracture in the diaphyseal region. Fracture in diaphyseal region. So that is in the center, that is in the shaft. Asti madhye bhagnam, grantiriva unnatam. So that is Karkatakam. So keeping all these fractures, all these explanations in mind, we could confer that Karkataka is nothing but, we could say that it is a normal transverse fracture with the presence of hematoma. So that is how we could try to understand what exactly could be meant behind the explanation of the current shloka. So I hope it is clear. So we have Visheshatastu Sammudam, Ubhayato Asti Madhye Bhagnam, Grantiriva Unnatam. So I would be restricting on many repetitions this time because we have many things to cover that could fall short of time. So I'll be moving with the next, that is Ashwakarna. So the next one is Ashwakarna. So what do we have? The explanation for Ashwakarna here is, so he says Ashwakarnavat Unnatam Ashwakarnam. So what is Ashwakarnavat Unnatam Ashwakarnam? So this is the example that is given. So what is the Tika given here is, the Tika given here is Ashwakarna Sadrusham. It's very important for us to go through the Tika, especially here, because it is only because of that we can try to understand or analyze what actually is the sutra trying to tell us. Otherwise, there are possibilities of we interpreting wrong meanings for the main sutras. So here he says it is Ashwakarna Sadrusha. So suppose we take, this is the bone. So how could we how could we understand what is the actual pathanatomy Acharya is trying to explain here is that, so suppose in the bone now you have a transverse, an oblique fracture, or you have a spiral fracture that is running at two planes. So what is this? So the Ashwakarna is something like this. So that is why we could say that maybe it is a type of fracture which includes, the spiral variety, where the line of force, where the fracture line is in a spiral fashion, which is making, the fractured end, not the fractured end, or the fractured part look like that of Ashwakarna. So here, what does he say? What does the Tika says? Ashwakarna Sadrusham. So this, so that is why we could try to analyze Ashwakarna as a fracture that is a spiral variety of fracture. So a spiral fracture or an oblique fracture running in two planes. So with the explanation of this, we could correlate Ashwakarna to an oblique or a spiral fracture. So the next one is Churnitam. So what is Churnitam? The shlokas goes like Churnitam Sprushyamanam Churnitam. Sprushyamanam avagachet iti Churnitam. Okay, it is Sprushyamanam Churnitam avagachet. Sprushyamanam Churnitam avagachet. So again, important is what is the Tika? It says here is for Churnitam, the main is Shabdasparshabhyam Churnitam avagachet. So as I told in the beginning of the class, so again here it comes for the application of Shabda Pariksha. Shabdasparshabhyam Churnitam avagachet. So what does avagachet mean? It is almost get to know. Janiyat is the Tika again. Janiyat is the Tika again for that, for avagachet. So from this, what we can understand is Sprushyamanam Churnitam avagachet. So suppose you are touching the fractured site, you are able to feel and you are also able to listen. Something like listen here is again to the crepitus, and Churnita is to that you are able to feel many bits of pieces, or something very similar to that. You are able to palpate more number of things at that place. So from this, what could we infer from the classification of fracture what we have studied priorly? So which is the fracture where we have more number of fragments? It is the comminuted fracture, right? Because of a compression force or because of a crushing force. So with these explanation, we can try to probably correlate Churnitam to a comminuted fracture. So now we saw three of them. The next one is Pichitam. Okay, the next one is Pichitam. So the shloka for Pichitam is Prututam Gatam Analpashofam Pichitam. So for Pichita it is Prututam Gatam Analpashofam Pichitam. So Prututam Gatam Analpashofam Pichitam. So from this, what you can get to know? So previously explained is Churnita. So keeping the pathoanatomy for Churnita, next taking consideration of Pichita, what it says, Prututam Gatam Analpashofam. So with this word Prututam, so what the Tika says for Prututam is Prututam iti Vistirnatam iti. So it is Vistirnatam. So from this, what we can analyze is that Vistirnatam Gatam is that. So maybe here also the acting force is something equivalent to a compressive force, wherein it is not of Churnita, wherein there is comminution or there is a disruption of the bony tissue to many fragments, but there is Prututam Gatam. So maybe suppose this is the bone, so you have a force acting like this, so it could go something like this. So this is called as Prututam Gatam. So with this again, here we can consider that it is it could be a fracture because of compressive force. Fracture because of compressive force. So it could break here actually, and it could become Vistirnatam Gatam. That is for a compressive force. Next thing is, after Pichitam, we have Karkashvachupi Astika. So the next is Asti Challitam. So for Asti Challitam, what is the shloka is that Parshvayoho Asti Hinodgatam Asti Challitam. So the main words are Parshvayoho Asti Hinodgatam. So what is the Tika has to tell for this is Challamiva Vidyate Iti. So for Challamiva Vidyate Iti, it is called as Asti Challita, right? So this is Asti. This is Asti Challita. So for this, what the Tika says is that Challamiva Vidyate Asmin. So what is Challa? Here we could think that Challa is like is nothing but peel. Now we have the banana peel, the orange peel. So to peel off. So in this case, now suppose this is the fracture. So what could we expect, like something that should look like, it is getting peeled off. Now suppose, because of the fracture of the force, a part of the cortical portion, that is the cortex portion, the hard bone could just, chip off from the rest of the bone tissue. So maybe the periosteal layer could, be chipped off, or the content of the cortex could be chipped off. So that Parshvayoho Asti Hinodgatam, and that resembles like a peel, Challamiva, as if you're peeling off this layer, or that part of the bone which is there where fracture is looks as if it is being peeled off, is how we can understand Challamiva Vidyate. So in this case, how can we understand Challamiva is, that is as if where there is the bony flake appearing separately, as if it is being raised away from the actual bony tissue. So this is how we can try to understand Asti Challitam. Next one is Astika. Ka for Kandabhagna. So for Kandabhagna, what is the meaning is Vellate Prakampamanam Kandabhagnam. Vellate Prakampamanam Kandabhagnam. So for important Tika here is Chalati. Okay. So as of now, taking to the context, for Kandabhagna, what we could think is Vellate Prakampamanam Kandabhagnam. So with this explanation, we can probably infer that this is nothing but a fracture with displacement. So suppose, usually when it happens in the humerus, we read that in the displacement of fracture, always it is the displacement of the distal end when compared to the proximal end. So usually in the fracture of the humerus, you have the distal end, because of the gravity get displaced. So in such case, obviously the connection is lost. So in such cases, you couldn't have Vellate or Chalana in that position, maybe and Prakampamanam of that particular part. Keeping this in mind, so we can think that, we can infer that this is nothing but a fracture with displacement, what is being referred to by the word Kandabhagna. And here also, Kanda refers to stem, or the actual the mid portion of the stem, that is the Kanda. Like for even for the plant, how we are, even when we are studying through the plant, even the plant stem portion is called as Kanda. So here also, maybe it is again for a long bone where there is fracture, the classical fracture along with displacement can be referred to as Kandabhagna. Okay. Now next is Majjanugatam. The next one is Majjanugatam. So here there is very beautiful explanation. So it goes like this. Asti avayavoyoho asti madhye anupravishya majjanam unnahyati iti Majjanugatam. So asti avayavoyoho. So we have these many things here. Asti avayavoyoho. Then we have asti madhye anupravishya Majjanam Unnahyati iti Majjanugatam. So what here it is? So when we saw the classification of fracture, they are the basic headings for how to understand the various type of fractures. So actually how a fracture happens based on the different pathoanatomy, various names are also given. So it goes like a fissured fracture, compacted fracture, many of them. So here this Majjanugata is an example for an impacted fracture. Sorry, not compacted, it's an impacted fracture. So what actually an impacted fracture means is that, you know, when a bony fragment or the fractured end of the bone enters the body cavity of the other in an impacted fracture, and because of that what happens, it causes an outflow of the bone marrow of the injured impacted bone. So what is an impacted fracture? So what is meant by impacted fracture? So I will be showing it here. So suppose this is the, you know, fractured end of one bone. So you have another bone here and it pierces the body of the cavity of the other bone. Because of which what happens? So what do we have here is the bone marrow in the medulla. So it comes out, it causes flow of the bone marrow. So it's exactly the same explanation what is told in the explanation for Majjanugatam. What he says, Acharya says, Asti avayavayoho. So what is this? This is Asti avayavayoho. Asti madhye anupravishya. So it is getting inside Asti madhya. What it does? Majjanam unnahyati. Majjanam unnahyati is, it causes the outflow of the majja dhatu that is present inside the bone. So the majja takes ashraya in the bone. So that is coming out. Unnahyati iti majjanugatam. So this is a clear cut explanation for the typical case of an impacted fracture. Now there is one alternation here according to Acharya Vagbhata. So what does Ashtanga Sangraha has to tell is about Majjanugatam is that he says, Acharya says, this type of Majjanugatam fracture happens when you are actually treating a Savrana Bhagna. So he says when you are treating a Savrana Bhagna, Majjanugata type of fracture happens. So there are two things which we have to look here. Now what is Savrana Bhagna? It clearly says that it is a case of compound fracture. That is, there is fracture and there is vrana over it. So it is a compound fracture. It is, we need not go into the details of whether it is internal compounding or external compounding. That is just to do with the affliction of the force. So here it's a clear indication that in case of compound fracture, when you are treating the vrana, so you have a fracture beneath and you have a vrana above. So you're treating the vrana. So in that case, if there is a piece of bone, you know, that is chipped off and it is caused the vrana or in the course of, the force, there is chipping off a bony tissue. So in the act of removing that bony tissue from the vrana, okay, so you have the vrana, what happens is that accidentally it moves inside the bony tissue, and because of that the majja comes out is one of the explanation given by Acharya Vagbhata. So in this case what we have to understand is it might be this or that, but what is the pathology we want to see or what is the meaning it is conveying, what happens exactly, both of them is the same. Especially in that case of Vagbhata, we also get information for a example for a compound fracture. So this is Majjanugatam. Next after Majjanugatam is Atipatitam. After Majjanugatam, we have Atipatitam. After Majjanugatam, we have Atipatitam. So what Atipatita has to say here is Asti Nihisheshatascha Chinnam Atipatitam. So what is that we have to look here? Look for here is Asti Asti Nihisheshatas Chinnam Atipatitam. So how do we actually understand here? Because this is Atipatita, but further again after Vakra there is again another classification of Kandabhagna called as Chinna. Now suppose we want to analyze both Atipatita and Chinna in the same direction of thought, because we have another word here is Asti Nihisheshatas Chinnam. So how could we try to understand this is that now in the case of Satyovrana, in further stages when we are when we come across Sadhyovrana description by Acharya Sushruta in Sadhyovrana context. So first one is Chinna. So for Chinna, what he says is, in one context he says, Sadhyovrana Shaka Nihishesha Chinnam. So there is treatment for, so while he's telling treatment for Sadhyovrana, one of the treatment is Shaka Nihishesha Chinnam. So considering this, what could we think of is, so there is Chinna here. So Chinna kind of Sadhyovrana here, where there is an, the limb is getting excised. So what happens is that this Shaka, the forearm part is Nihishesha. That is, it is no longer in connection with the Shesha Bhaga of the Shaka. So Nihishesha Tascha Chinnam. It has excised from the body part such that it is no longer in continuation with the Shaka, which is Shesha. That is, it is along with the Sharira. So trying to understand this also in the same way, what we could infer is that in such a kind of fracture, definitely it is throwing light that it is a compound fracture, definitely, because asti nihisheshatascha chinnam. So suppose here we have, in the same, applying the same, you have cut through the muscles and all the bundles, everything. Next, what is it? If suppose because of a huge force, even the bone is being, cut like this throughout the circumference. So you have, so this is one end of the arm and this is one end of the arm. So suppose that here what happens? Asti nihisheshatascha chinnam iti atipatitam. So this is how we can try to understand what actually is, Acharya is trying to tell us by atipatita and explanation as asti nihisheshatascha chinnam atipatitam. So it clearly says that wherever is the fracture line running, it is such that it is no longer in connection with the Shesha Bhaga of that part of asti, which is, intact with the body. So that is important. So the proximal end is intact with the body. Wherever is the fracture, the distal end has been disconnected from the Shesha Bhaga of the asti. So this is one of the ways we can try to understand Adipatita. So the next is Vakra and then we have Chinna. So when we come to the explanation of Chinna, again we have something similar to this, but we will see that there is a different variation. With the slight variation, we are seeing two examples. So it could be, severity or grades of severity that is Acharya is trying to tell us. Next one is Vakra. So in Vakra, what is the explanation is, Abhugnam avimukta asti Vakram. So for Abhugnam, so the important word here is Abhugnam and avimukta asti. So we have Abhugnam and we have avimukta asti. So here for Abhugna, what is the tika they say is Abhugnam ishat jihyam. Abhugnam ishat jihyam. The next is avimukta asti. Avimukta asti is avishlishta. So this is avishlishta. So here by this what we can say is that within the bone, because of the force here, there is a little bending. So there is bending. Ishat jifyam avimukta asti. This is important because now suppose this is the asti sandhi, then the bone has not left its ashraya. That is only here avishlishta has not happened. Asti vishlishta has not happened. It is still in situ, but maybe in the portion of its bone tissue, that is the center, you have a bend in the tissue of the bone, that is in the substance of the bone because of a external force. So that is Vakra. So one of the examples, classical examples, what we can try to understand here is, we can take the example of green stick fracture. So we can take the example of green stick fracture, which exactly happens in the same fashion. So the next is Chinnam. I think we will be able to complete only the 12 classifications today. So the next is Chinnam, that is the 10th one. So for Chinna, what is the explanation here is, Anyatara Parshva Avashishtam Chinnam. Anyatara Parshva Avashishtam Chinnam. Anyatara Pashva Avashishtam Chinnam. So the Tika what it says is Anyatara Pashva Avashishtam iti Eka Pashvam Ityartaha. Anyatara Pashvena iti Eka Pashvena Ityartaha. Okay, and according to Nyaya Chandrika also it is almost the same Chinnam Eka Pashvam Ityartaha. So now how could we think of understanding this Chinnam? Now there is one reference from Acharya Yoga Ratnakara, and he says, according to Yoga Ratnakara, for Chinna, what he says is, now suppose if the bone is hanging down from its site of fracture, then it is a Chinna Bhagna. Now considering, so as Yoga Ratnakara also says the same. What is it? Suppose from the site of fracture, if a bone is hanging down, then it is called as Chinna. Now, so we considering this, it will become again the same explanation for Atipatita. Now, what is that difference Acharya is trying to, show between Chinna and Adipatita, wherein Chinnata of the Bhaga is important, is that here we have something called as Anyatara Pashva Avashishtam. So suppose here, maybe considering both of these as classical examples for compound fracture Acharya is giving, in Chinna, what we can think of is, now suppose, it's almost held loose, but it is not that Nihisheshatascha Chinnam. That is somewhere, there is a little connectivity, between the ends of the fragments. So, because of which there is Anyatara Pashva Avashishtam. So, you are still in contact at one side, or because of because of the fracture force, it is such that the limb is almost severed, but it is because of a little contact between maybe it is cut like this. The entire circumference of the bone is cut here. Maybe here at the posterior surface, a small amount of, because of the muscles and also because of the, the supporting structures for a bone, what we saw, there is still contact that is being maintained between the fractured ends. Then we can take it as Chinna. Because even Yoga Ratnakara also gives the same reference for what is meant by Chinna kind of variety. So here in Chinna, it is the same severity, but some kind of, or some amount of contact is still being maintained because of the, all those structures that give support to the bone. So when we were seeing for the displacement of bone, so there are certain things that contribute to the displacement of the bone. Like we have gravity, we have the muscle pull, because of which the bone gets displaced. So maybe because of some fashion of event of fracture, because of the muscles or because of whatever the structures holding it, it should be such that it is almost not in contact, but at some portion it is still maintaining contact. So it is also again a severe variety of fracture itself, which is almost like Varjya Asadhya. So this is the difference between Chinna and Atipatita. So in Atipatita it is Nihisheshatascha Chinna. In only Chinnam you have Anyatara Pashva Avashishtam. But both of them includes, or both of them are compound variety of fractures, which includes too much of, the shloka itself says that when in such kind of fracture, it's all the muscles, the vascular bundle, the neurovascular bundle, the ligaments, everything are put into state. So this is Chinna, and next we have, and after Chinna we have Patita and Sputita, that is the 11th one is Patita. So for Patita what Acharya says is, Patitam Anubahu Vidaritam Vedanavatcha. So for Patita he says it is Anu, Bahu, Vidaritam and Vedana Vatcha. So we will also take up the next shloka so that there is a little connection between the two, so it is easy to understand. Next is Sputita. So for Sputita we have Shuka Purnamiva Adhmatam Vipulam Visputitam Sputitam iti. sputitam iti. So again here, coming to the first one, patita, what does the commentary says here is patitam anu bahu vidaritam vedana vaccha. So he says anu bahuni vidaritani. So according to Gayadasa, he says anuni bahuni vidaritani. Okay. So here again it is for the word Shuka Purnamiva iti Vedana Visheshaha. So in the beginning of the class, so this is what I meant to. Shuka Purna iti Vedana Visheshaha. Adhmanam is the word. So Adhmana is nothing but Shunam. Okay. Then we have Vipulam. Vipulam iti Ekadari. Okay. Vipulam iti Ekadari. Visputitam is Visheshena Sputitam. Visheshena Sputitam. Now, what does Patita mean? So, it says that Anubahu Vidaritani Vedana Vatcha. So, from this, what we can infer is that, so it refers to, multiple cracks in the bone. So, suppose this is the bone. So, in the content of the bone, in the the substance of the bone, there is anubahu vidaritani, fissures, small fissures. So this is what is meant by patita. So we can take like fractures with multiple cracks in the bone. So there is, because crack like a disruption of the substance of the cortex of the bone. Next is sputita. So for sputita we can what is said as Shuka Purnamiva Admatam. So here it is Shuka Purnamiva Admatam is, it is not Shuka Purnamiva is as if, many bony substances, pieces of bones are filled, and because of it is Shuka Purnamiva, that is the feeling. No, it is as if being, it is, pierced by Shuka Purnamiva Admatam, as if, inside there is Shuka Bhava. So that is what is meant by Shuka Purnamiva, and it is a Vedana Vishesha. That is how the patient, feels the pain. Next is Admanam. Admana is Shuna. Vipula. Here what Vipula is Ekadari. That is, there is a major, fissure in the bony substance. It's not multiple and small like this, but here it is Vipulam Ekadari. And it is such that it is Visheshena Sputitam. So it is not that, it is single and it is not causing much of the problem. But this single Ekadari is such that it is, capable enough to produce all these symptoms. So with Sputita we have Shuka Purnamiva Admatam, Vipulam, that is Ekadari, Visputitam, Sputitam iti. So you can take it as a fissured fracture. So this can be taken as fissured fracture. So here it is fracture with small crack-like lines. So this is how we can understand Patita and Sputita. So with this, we saw all the 12 types of Kandabagna, that is Karkataka, Ashwakarna, Karkashva, Chunita Pichita, Karkashva Chupi Astika, Astichalita Kandabagna, Majjati Vakra, Majjanugata, Atipatita Vakra, Chi Paspu is Chinnam, Bhinnam, Patitam and Sputitam. So until now we saw all the 12 types of Kandabagna. How we can try to understand. So all of these are my humble attempt to try to interpret what is the meaning of how you can derive some meaning out of it. Because unless and otherwise you try to compare, both the knowledges, it is impossible for us to understand. And in fact, our mind is not that capable to understand, this depth of knowledge that is given by Acharya Sushruta. Suppose we read it, superficially without understanding the depth. So for that purpose, I have tried to correlate certain pathoanatomies of what we saw in the from the modern osteology books to what is told in Sushruta by Acharya Sushruta. So with this we can get to know that this was a level of mastery, or trying to understand any pathology of a Vyadhi. So it was, there is nothing left out almost. So all the type of fracture, all the variety of fractures, all the different types of dislocation, various pathoanatomies of dislocation, along with an osteochondral fragment, and along with a tone along with the bony portion. And coming here, we have examples for compound fracture, we have examples for impacted fracture, we have examples for many other things, fissure fracture and chinna comminuted fracture. So I think maybe it is not structured, in a detailed heading like format, but none of the concepts are being left out by Acharya Sushruta. So that is one thing we need to understand, and we need to feel very proud about the topic of Bhagna, that so much of detailed explanations are already prevailed before sophisticated measures were brought out. So the next is Sadhya Sadhyata. We are left with just 5 minutes. I'll complete Sadhya Sadhyata and then we'll wind off the session. So that will complete for the Nidanasthana. So in Sadhya Sadhyata, the shloka goes like Churnitam Chinnam Atipatitam Majjanugatani. So what are the 4 types of Kandabhagnas is Churnitam, Chinnam, Majjanugatani, Chinnam Atipatitani Majjanugatani. Atipatitani Majjanugatani Krichra Sadhyani. Okay, Krichra Sadhyani. So these are the 4 varieties. Again, other people are, he also says, in Krisha, Vruddha, Bala, and then we have Kshatakshina Kushta Shwasinam. Okay, now why has Acharya called all of these Asadhya? So the first one, as we see here, it is Churnita, Chinna, Majjanugata, Atipatitani. Now when we saw with the explanations, we saw that all of these are a little complicated variety of fractures where it is difficult to reduce them and bring it back to the same anatomical alignment. In Churnita, we have comminuted fracture where you have many pieces of bony fragments. In Chinna and Atipatita, we saw that it's a classical example for compound fracture, a severe compound fracture actually. Majjanugata also, you have a bony fragment piercing the other Majja Bhaga, that is Asti Bhaga, bringing out the Majja. So obviously all these 4 are difficult to treat. Krichra Sadhyani. Along with that, he says he gives 2 other varieties, Krisha, Vruddha and Bala. Now moving on to the next shloka, actually he says, which is the suitable age for better cure of Bhagna. He says Madhyasya Vayaso Avastaha Tisro Yaha Parikirtita. So in the Avastha Tisra, that is Bala, Vruddha, Bala, Madhyama and Vruddha, it is the Madhyama Vayas that is best for any for good fracture healing. Now why it could be Madhyama Vayas for good fracture healing? So for that the Tika again says it is Shodasha Varshad Urdvam Chatvarimshadhyavat Puryate. So from 16 to 40 is the best time for a good fracture healing. So here we can see that first is in Krisha, Vruddha and Bala. So in Krisha, so obviously if the person is very lean, you do not have any shock absorbers for your body. There is no medus, the mamsa is not in proper samhanana pramana. So in such a Krisha patient, obviously when something is hit from externally or when he is any nidana that inflicts fracture, so obviously the Krisha is he's more tend to end up with certain complicated fractures. He could break more bones than in the place of one bone to make the case complicated. Next is in Vruddha and Bala. So in Vruddha, obviously we know that in elderly people there is decreased cartilage bone formation, there is decreased cartilage resorption and also slower mineralization actually. So what it is, you have in Vruddha, you have decreased bone and cartilage formation, okay, and there is also decreased cartilage resorption and also there is decreased bone mineralization. So these are all from the modern researches and journals, but there is clear-cut word that is Vruddha. So Acharya knew why it is difficult to manage in Vriddha, because all the dhatus are in the Kshinavastha. You have nothing, wherever there is the utpatti of it comes to a halt, and it is slow down, especially in the Vriddhavastha. So that is a general notion. So obviously, to put it into a more scientific way, when people want you to understand it, what is the actual cause is because in old age there is decreased bone and cartilage formation, cartilage resorption also goes down, and even bone mineralization is very happens in a very slower pace. So that is why it is difficult in Vriddha. Now next, coming to Bala. Now usually we come across saying that fracture heals faster in kids, but why here Bala is being put under and Kritsha Sadhya Avastha is that, so usually in kids, that is almost like up to 6 to 13% of kids. So like 6 to 13% of kids in a long bone fracture, which usually happens at that age, the fracture tends to happen at the epiphysis. Okay, it tends to happen at the epiphysis. Now we know that here we have a cartilage, right? So when in the first class we saw that here there is a cartilage, which is the growth cartilage. So it is this place, which is essential for the lengthening or the growth of the bone. So suppose this gets injured, so then the growth of the bone gets hampered. Maybe it is because of this Acharya has tried to put Bala under this category. So because all the epiphyseal vascular supply gets disrupted, and usually in kids in the long bone, it is at the region of epiphyse that the fracture is more tend to happen. So it more tends to happen at the epiphysis. So maybe from this we can infer that that's the reason why Bala, that is the kids, have been put under the same classification. Now coming to Shatakshina, Kushta and Shwasina. Now in cases of Shatakshina, or in cases of Rajayakshma, such kinds of people, where the immunity part is very low. So there has been a study which says that the immune system has a direct role. It's a recent study where it has a direct role on the fracture healing. The immune cells, and they say that the adaptive immune mechanism, it considers even the event of fracture as equivalent to how it considers an infection in the body. So only when your immune system is good, you could have a better fracture healing. Now actually concepts of immunomodulation in enhancing the fracture healing, all those concepts are coming. So you get many such articles for indexed articles in the PubMed for the same. You can go through it if you're interested. So this is why Shatakshina and cases of Rajayakshma. Now next, coming to Kushta and Shwasina. So why Kushta and Shwasina, as in such Kushta, they are all Mahavyadis. So coming to the treatment principle, if we can see that in Kushta, it is one of the indications is Guru Ahara and Pishta Ahara, and things which increases your Bala, the Kapha, are contraindicated. You're not supposed to make Kleda build in cases of Kushta. But here, on the contrary, when we deal with the treatment of Bhagna, so here everything that increases, Bandha. So Bandhana is very important in case of fracture. So we have, Grushta Kshira, we have Madhu, we have Ghrita, and we have Pishtana. Pishtana is one of the major indications. So one such Vyadhi where Pishta is indicated as a Patya is Bhagna. So we can understand that. So when we are trying to manage both of them, they're contradictory to each of its pathology. So maybe taking into notion here, Acharya is trying to quote one such example, taking the name of Kushta and Shwasa. Shwasa also plays the same role. So you have a different pathology. So in case of Shwasa also, the patient is always already in a state of distress. So in such a patient, when you want to manage Bhagna, it will definitely be difficult. So so this was an attempt to understand what is the rationality between behind why Acharyas have Acharya Sushruta has told put Krisha, Vriddha, Bhala, Shatakshina, Kushta and Shwasina. So with these four, it is a direct indication that it is because of the pathanatomy, it is difficult to manage with terms of treatment. And here is a different rational thinking, and putting all this, it comes together with the Kritsha Sadhya Avastha of Bhagna. So we have left out is one is the last shloka, like how are the different kinds of fracture and what is the mode it ends up with fracture. So we have Tarunastini Namyante, भज्यन्ते नलकानि च कपालानि विभज्यन्ते त्रुटन्ति रुचकानि स्फुटन्ति रुचकानि sorry not त्रुटन्ति स्फुटन्ति रुचकानि. So we have tarunastini namyante. So this will be the last shloka for today's class. Tarunastini namyante bhajyante nalakani tu bhajyante nalakani cha kapalani vibhidyante kapalani vibhidyante स्फुटन्ति रुचकानि च. Okay, now what does it actually means is that so taruna asti, so examples for taruna asti what they quote here is you have the grana, karna, kanta, akshikuta, so they are all taruna asti. Grana, kanta, akshikuta, etc. they are tarunasti. So he says namyante. What does namyante means? It says it is vakri bhavati. So we saw vakra as one of the varieties of kandabhagna, so it is the same explanation here also. That is what in the tika they says that etena vakra lakshanam bhagnam uktam. So the vakra lakshana holds good for this variety. Next is bhajyante nalakani. So for nalakani is shakastini. Nalaka are nothing but shakastini. Nalaka shakastini. Bhajyante. For bhajyante, the commentary is trutanti. So what does trutanti actually mean? It is something which is broken, it is chapped, or it is divided. So that is what they say. They are the typical, fracture, variety or manifestation for a long bone. That is shakastini. Shaka is the limbs. So it is there as this. It is the fractures of the upper and the lower limb. So it gets divided, chapped. Usually it's a transverse fracture. So that is what everything is being incorporated in one word. That is the thing. It doesn't mean that trutanti means divided. So it has to be a transverse fracture. No, not like that. Under the same word, it says that the shakastini gets divided. Next is kapalani vibhidyante. So for kapalani, he says mastakadi karparani. So for kapalani, you have mastakadi karparani is kapalani. Vibhidyante. So for this, he says vibhidyante iti anena kapaleshu vidarana lakshano bhangam uktaha. So here he says it is vidarana lakshano bhanga uktaha. Okay, so we saw Vidarana, and in the Kandabhagna variety, that is for the sputa, that is Ekadari Vishishtena Vidaritam. So we saw that. So that has to be considered here. Kapalani Vibhidyante. So Kapala refers to Mastakadi Karparani, the other varieties of flat bones here. Next is Ruchakani Sputita Patitadi. So here, what is the Lakshana here we have to take is Sputita Patita Lakshanas have to be incorporated for flat bones like Kapala. Next is Ruchakani iti. Ruchaka iti dantaha. So Ruchaka is what? Is dantaha. He says sputanti. Teshu sputitham bhagnam uktam. Teshu sputitham bhagnam uktam. So this is the variety how the Tarunastini, Nalaka, Matte Kapala and Ruchakani exhibits in fracture. One thing what we have to know here is there are 5 types of bone, right? So which is one variety which is being missed here. So we have the Taruna, we have the Nalaka, we have Kapala and we have Ruchaka. So next missed is the Valaya. So Tikakara says that this Chakara incorporates even the Valaya asti. Chakarena Valayeshu api sputitam samuchiyate. So if by this Chakara you have to understand that even the Valaya asti goes into sputitam. This variety. Okay. So even the Danta also this variety. So we have to incorporate sputita and patita kind of fractured fashion for all the 3 of these. So with this we saw what are the 5 types of bones. And in the classification 5 types of bones, what is the variety or the fashion of fracture? In general, it could occur. So this is a general sutra. Not that every fracture has to happen like this, but most of them comes under this variety. So with this, We have completed the Nidanasthana of 15th chapter of Nidanasthana of Sushruta, which deals with the Bhagna. And so in the next class, we will take up the very important fractures for your humerus and femur. And after that, we will move on with a brief Chikitsa aspect of it from the Chikitsa Sthana. So this completes almost the major portions of Bhagna. Few other topics of, under the bone or fracture or infective categories for the bone tissue. We have very important what is called as osteomyelitis. So I think with all of these, we will fairly complete certain amount of portions for under the topic of Bhagna. So once this gets over, we'll move on to the further topics. Saying this, I would like to conclude today's class with a small prayer again. Om Jnananandamayam Devam निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां हयग्रीवम् उपास्महे. Thank you. Good afternoon.